Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is Suzanne Gundersen of Transformed Connections, where we offer stress resilience solutions that empower people to self-manage stress. I'm joined today with my colleague, Chad Brown of Somatic, and we're here to talk about a really important topic called co-regulation. Before we get into it, I want to just have Chad introduce himself.
So I'm Chad Brown, and I am a former certified massage therapist who is now a certified TRE provider and also the teacher of other modalities that have to do with stress management, regulation of anxiety, and physical body recovery.
Wonderful. Thank you. So one of the really important pieces of the work that we do is to help people get into a state of being able to co-regulate. And I mean, regulation just means to process. It's just a word that means to process. And so when people are out there talking about self-regulation tools, and some of those things are amazing if we have the capacity to be able to stay tolerant of our body's experience and be able to know how to regulate, whether it's the regulation of the body, regulation of the emotions, regulation of our mind. But really, co-regulation is something that I think we're coming into in this whole new age and day that we're kind of coming into social connection more and more. So let's talk a little bit about, what co-regulation means to you and what state do we have to be in order to really have it work for us.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you had heard about co-regulation before you and I started our TRE training, but that was the first time I had heard about understanding co-regulation. And probably the best story I can tell that helps to illustrate co-regulation is when you do a group TRE class, or really any kind of group. Let's say it's a yoga class, really, any group activity where everyone is trying to sort of regulate and balance their nervous systems together. It shows you what the power of that is.
I don't think it has to be any kind of class like that. I just think about it like I always thought
Sure.
that great dog guy, Caesar Milan, and he used to, have his pack of dogs that were regulated, and then he would take the wild dog and bring it in, and he would kind of be like, well, the regulated dogs are going to regulate this, this dysregulated dog.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I mean, again, I feel like the best illustration is like when I started doing TRE classes, and you would have these people come in, and sometimes nobody would know each other, and people kind of come in tentative, and they're just sort of looking around, and they're not really talking to anyone because they don't know anyone, and everyone's just kind of like, who are they and why are they here, and that kind of thing. And you get people to do this thing where they become very aware of their bodies, and they become very aware of how they can regulate their bodies, and everyone's doing it together. And at the end of that class, you will have people getting into conversations with people they don't know, trading phone numbers because they found they have interests with one another, people hugging. I mean, it is a transformative experience, this idea of co-regulation, and it's becoming a more of a buzzword because they are bringing these regulation modalities into classrooms, in public schools and that kind of thing, because they are realizing that a singular child's education, at least in part, rests on the entire class's ability to regulate itself as a whole. It's incredibly important for each child's learning experience that the group that they are learning, within, can regulate itself on a regular basis, so that that environment is regulated as it can be on a regular basis.
so thanks for sharing that. That's so important for us to know that this is going on in schools. When I think about co-regulation, I think about one's inability to self-regulate, one's inability to manage themselves for what they might be experiencing, and that co-regulation is something that we do with another person or within a group of people that helps our body be able to learn stronger cues of safety and secure connection. That way we can be able to come back to that place of kind of green ventral vagal state of parasympathetic calm. And we can start to enjoy life again, because when we are stressed out and we don't know how to regulate ourselves out of that stress, we could look to another person and be able to in that connection have leverage their regulated state against your dysregulated state and be able to co-regulate together. So when we're in a group, let's say a TRE class or any other kind of group, there's not everyone is going to be calm and regulated. There's going to be some dysregulated people, and it's that heart variability, that regulated heart variability that people want to connect with. Meaning that, when you're having a calm tone of voice and your breath is nice and easy and your heartbeat is calm, that other people will be able to calm against that calm. And that is what I kind of see as co-regulation, is being able to leverage through another the ability to regulate within yourself that you can't do for yourself. So you use into someone else's space and container to do that for you. And we see that in the relationship with a lot of therapist to client, is that the client comes in dysregulated and needs the therapist to help them be able to get to a regulated state. We see this with body workers, where people come in with a physical dysregulated state and the body worker offers them that container to be able to do the work on their body. We do it at the level of the nervous system. So we're really helping people to get below those levels of, physical tension into, discharging those overwhelmed states and be able to stay present with themselves. And so co-regulation meaning something that we do with another person or group of people to be able to help us learn and anchor those safety and secure connections that we're yearning for, but we just can't do it on our own.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that, one aspect of benefit of self-regulation is to be able to hold your ground in your own regulation amongst those who are dysregulated. Your ability to do so can help that person regulate themselves. So if you can stay grounded in your own regulation by practicing regulation more and more and more and more, the more experiences of self-regulation that you have, the more your brain can figure out how to do that more on a regular basis.
Yeah, we call
the
it
more
resilience.
the more you can stay grounded, the more you help another person who is having a little more trouble than you are. Show them kind of a center point for their bodies to kind of look to internally. And that process then is co-regulation.
And it needs to occur within a safe connection with somebody, because unsafe connections, abusive connections, dysregulated connections are not, the result of the recovery. And so we really want to, be in safe connection with other people when we're co-regulating,
Right.
or else we're really dysregulating. And further, once we have more of those safe experiences, we can then learn more of, what secure attachment really can do for us, because we have so many, dysfunctional attachments and unsafe connections that we keep dysregulated, and yet the body is craving to complete the stress response and come back to that place of peace and calm again. So finding a safe person to co-regulate, or a group or a class, like you mentioned, TRE class, where people are going with the same intention to get to the same end result.
Self-regulation and co-regulation really is sort of like the chicken or the egg kind of scenario, because it's a simultaneous thing. It's this thing where, I need to have some kind of regulation to co-regulate with someone else, but in order to, co-regulate with them, they need to have some sort of form of self-regulation. So it really is this sort of like, back and forth thing. So yeah, one can the thing you can influence the most in your own life is working on your own self-regulation, and then allowing yourself to co-regulate with the healthiest energies that you can be around. That's a good life,
Yeah, definitely.
if you can make that happen. That's the challenge.
For people who are listening to us right now, if you are in a dysregulated state and you're kind of in that overcharge of your stress, seeking out, safe connections with other people. And they can maybe be strangers. I mean, when I suffered from chronic anxiety and I would be at the airport, or I would be someplace traveling for work and I'd be having a panic attack, I literally would go up to a stranger and say, "Hey, you're going to think I'm crazy, but can I just talk to you for a few minutes?" And some people would say, yeah, I mean, most people just want to help. So, seek out those safe connections with other people. That way you can have that co-regulation experience to be able to get yourself back to a place of a regulated state. And then when you're there, you start to build up on that, ability, and then you'll be able to do more self-regulation. We just, as babies, when we're born, we don't have any ability to self-regulate. We only can regulate through our caregiver. And so our caregiver's job is to be able to teach us self-regulation. But so many of us don't get the secure attachment and co-regulation that we need. And we end up dysregulated, and we're kind of bumping into each other in the world. So it's a real opportunity for us to go find those safe co-regulation experiences to help us come down off that, discharge off that overwhelm, and learn self-regulation. That way we can really be strong at keeping our bodies regulated, our emotions regulated, and our mind regulated at the same time.
What I say at the end of my classes is that, it is my experience that a body will fully relax and enjoy itself more in a co-regulated, sort of around other regulated bodies, than it will by itself. Isolation cannot totally ever be a totally relaxed state. You can't, because then you're sort of, as you're isolated, you're sort of fending for yourself. When you're in a group of people that are regulated, it feels safe. It feels safer than being by yourself. And you can really let go. When you create a community of regulation, you can really let go and enjoy your life.
It just starts with one person. You don't even
One
need
person.
just one person. I mean, you have been that co-regulation person for me so many times where I've been dysregulated. We know that.
Well, you for me too.
It works both ways. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for listening to us today. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the discussion chat below. Feel free to reach out to us at our respective websites, which will be in the description box of this video, no matter where you're watching it. And thank you for everything, Chad. And we will see everybody in the next video.
Thank you.